Hey everyone, good morning. Seems that every time I try to record something these days, something that will interrupt and prevent this message from coming out. You know, it's not easy to start a YouTube channel and keep it going, especially when you have the lofty goal of helping to guide people and being the light worker that I am. And what I wanted to talk about this morning is something that I think we all inherently know. We've known it since we were kids, and we played board games with our friends and family. And there was always that one kid that would, where they was to have a temper tantrum, knock the pieces everywhere, turn the game board upside down, and kind of ruin it for everybody. And then there was the other type. There was types that were, stashing game pieces or money and trying to do whatever they could, any edge that they would get to win the game. And then there were the rest that were just trying to play the game and didn't really think like either of those two schools of thought. And what I'm getting at is this, the game Monopoly, for example, was actually invented not to do anything other than to show the failure of capitalist society. See, you can't have a greater good if the goal is for one to step on everybody else, whether it's slowly, fast, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to be able to survive that entire game the whole way through, okay? However, in our capitalist agenda society, that kind of thinking is frowned upon, stomped on, squelched out, choked out, and everything else. Well, over the years, now here's what I'm getting at, is we have known since that time that that's really not. We know that the way to go about having a good day, playing a good game, having a good time, or anything like that. And yet at the same time, our conditioned, learned responses and reactions and programmed responses have been exactly the opposite, causing has turned itself into basically nothing less than a narcissistic society. And that includes myself in this, See, it's not just my own learning. What we now know, science is catching up, is that our DNA is actually where all of our intelligence and our memory truly lies. And that means that I am getting the learned responses from generation and generation and generation previous. So what that means right now is that for a very high, I would say the entire planet, we are all going through this ascension, this upgrade, this awakening, if you will, where we are now realizing that we are at a point where there has been such an imbalance of power, such a slant of energy, because that's all everything is, right? It's not just see, religion and spirituality is truly about energy, right? But anyways, so this imbalance of energy has occurred, and so many lives are being tormented and lost by the mechanisms of capitalism, which is truly actually a form of fascism, okay? And we've been conditioned and trained to think that it's not, when actually it is. And it's tipped the scale to the point where now we feel when somebody is suffering, especially if it's a large group of people. And we don't understand where all these emotions are coming from. We don't understand where the fear and the anger and the instability and stuff. And part of that is due to the mechanism of survival mode, particularly in the Western cultures right now. And I struggle to call it culture because to me, culture is like Hinduism or North American Native Americans, or tribal stuff is more of a culture. Capitalism is a station, a whitewashing, literally and figuratively, if you will, of culture. It is its purpose is to stomp out all other forms of belief in life and all of that, while at the same time pretending that it's not. And we have to come to that realization. We have to come to that realization that everything that we've been taught, everything that we think about ourselves, the way we view ourselves, the way our belief systems are, it's time to dismantle and to bring about what many people, myself, call new. And that is realizing that it's time to undo all of that learned response, all of that conditioned response. And we're at a point now, like I've said, to me, everything is connected. It's like the saying, energy is everything is energy. All of this stuff in the same way, because at the core, everything is connected. Okay, so we are at a point where, number one, we feel these people that are suffering and dying. Okay, it's causing an emotional bubbling, if you will, in our own personal bodies on the other side of the world. See, and we have been put in this society where we don't even know how to deal with our own stuff, right? There's things like, I'm still trying to process all of the crap that I went through with my family. I feel like I can't talk to somebody sometimes. I feel like, therapy is just another way of dragging around the same rock instead of healing from it, just it every week, right? So it gets to a point where you have to do, like, you're almost like, for all of it is a 12-step type spiritual recovery that we must do with ourselves and with other human beings if we are going to ascend past any of this. That's my mission right here, right? We're understanding that water is much more than just we think, right? We understand that it actually will duplicate. If you show a picture to a tray of water and then you freeze that water, it will copy that image in the ice. We know that Dr. Emoto, with his water experiments, right? If you speak to the water and you say beautiful things and positive affirmations, the crystals that form are absolutely beautiful. Whereas if you yell or scream or even say a swear word or anything derogatory, and it doesn't even have to have emotion behind it, just that word's vibration has that built into it, okay? It's got low vibrational quality. And what we're realizing, and Sadhguru talks about this, is like any water that goes through 50, 90 turns actually truly becomes poison. And we didn't even know this, and we're drinking it. So what happens is, as we ingest that, we become that, okay? Just as our DNA remembers everything from every past life and every ancestor that we have, right? So too does the water and the food that we consume. So, and it gets down to even this, and this is why I started my soil farm and why I started this YouTube channel, to raise money for the soil farm. See, when you eat a tomato that is grown with tractors and pesticides and gasoline, over fertilized and no good nutrients, and worms don't even live in the soil, and people have to wear a hazmat suit to tend to them, and you ingest that What do you think getting? Do you think that you're ingesting love and life into your system? Or are you ingesting just machine and uh, industrialized junk into your body? And when you ingest that, what do you think happens to your immune system and your spiritual system and even just your self-image? Whereas if you ingest a tomato that is grown by human interaction, and humans are tending to the plants and burning the soil, and worms are in there, and there's a whole cycle of life. When you ingest that, because remember this, there's water in everything that we eat, right? And we have the same amount of water as the planet does on it. Well, we're supposed to. We're supposed to be at 80%, but due to things like fluoride and other things that they put into our water that we don't think about because we just drink it, right? Tastes good, I'm just going to drink it. It becomes us, right? And especially in America, we see, like, I have 3 pretty nasty autoimmune diseases. One of them is, like, they told me I was going to be in a wheelchair. And that's how I came further into my spiritual discovery and journey about being a healer and what that meant and what my job as a light worker was actually going to be, right? It doesn't fit in with the Western society's quote unquote, this is how you survive, you know? And it's not easy, okay? Especially when you have a bigger calling. Like I said, every time I try to post, I get interrupted. I don't really have a solid place to do my channel right now. And when I get sick, that happens. But you know what? The important thing is that this message has to get out. And what I'm getting at is, like, I don't really pay attention to too many comments right now. At least not the negative ones, okay? And right now in America, we're coming up on an election. We're seeing the facade and the illusion of democracy and this free world image that we grew up with crumbling away and falling and failing blaze colors, right? And we have a system that is so disgusting, so incestuous, so corrupted and broken, and just, it's truly what it really is it is a spiritual poison. Everything that they do, including the media, is a spiritual attack on all of us, okay? And what an attack is, it's not like God and Jesus having a battle out, right? It's not like that. Spiritual attack can just be somebody wishing you harm. They don't realize that what they're really practicing is a dark practice, right? By putting challenges in your way to deliberately, well, if they want to do it so bad, maybe they can do it if they deal with this, you know, that kind of ridiculous, like, it's just gross. It's gross. And I have dealt with that over and over. First with my family, then with the rest of my family, and then with certain friends, right? Who think that it's absolutely crazy. On one hand, they'll tell me, oh, well, that's a very great idea, beautiful that you're doing it, but don't you think you should just, you know, work at Home Depot? And it's like, are you kidding me? I've owned my own business for 30 years. I'm used to making actual money and being, like, self-sufficient and not needing anybody's help in the world. And on one hand, yeah, but when I get to that place, all I can think about is, man, I've got to be doing my channel. I've got to be trying to get funding. I've got to be doing something else. This is not where I belong. And it's a tough place to be. But many of us are there right now. And it's okay. That's why I'm doing this channel. But what I'm getting at is, there was a particular comment, and it was basically, I was saying, it was on my short, that, you know, I'm glad that I never gave in to the RFK thing because of his stance on Israel. And that's not why I initially knew that he was a what I want to say, a bad choice, a bad idea, a false representation, much like Bernie Sanders was, right? But I knew something was off, right? Number one, because come on, how could you miss that if you sign on to either Democrat or Republican Party in the US, the only way you achieve the ability to get on the presidential level is if you're playing ball with the CIA in corporate America. And corporate America means military industrial complex. Corporate America means wage slavery. Corporate America means we don't care about the planet, and we're going to confuse people to away from their own connection to that planet, which is making our society not only physically sick, but emotionally sick, mentally sick, and spiritually sick. And that last one is the tough one, because it's not like people think. It's not like, gods and monsters and devil and Satan. It's much more elusive. It's actually energy, right? And meditation and prayer, especially, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced intense yoga session followed by a deep third eye meditation with hundreds of people. Man, let me tell you, the feeling, because you can feel it, that puts a vibration out into the world, which is what's changing everything right now, is people like us doing these things. And you don't even have to be in the same room as all of these people. But let me tell you, when you are, oh my God, it will, just that one experience will change your whole life and perspective. And I highly recommend and suggest and invite you to try that, because that's where we're at here, people. That's where we're at today in our society. So again, I apologize for going all over the place, but to me, everything is circular, everything is connected. People don't think like that in America. They just want to focus on one thing, and that's all I can handle, and my attention span is 3 minutes, and that's all you got, and da 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 da. We have to smash that, people. We have to get past that. We have to learn to have an attention span again. We have to learn to focus and ground again. We have to learn not to be. We have to do the contrary. I get it. We're all upset. There's a lot of angst coming out right now, okay? A lot of that is healing our past life and our several different lifetimes, not just in the ancestors in this family that I was born into currently, but my other hundreds or thousands of lifetimes that I've had on this planet. All of that is contained in the DNA as well, and it's all coming out now, okay? And not just for me. So the first response that most Americans want to take is, I'm going to vote against that guy because I hate him. I don't like this person. So, well, Biden's a liar, so I'm just going to turn the game board upside down and vote. And I get it. But the one thing I've learned with yoga and meditation is that we have to